Am I the asshole for ruining family therapy? New update. Original post. My 18 female mom died when I was 7. My father, 8 step-siblings, dad remarried a year later. His new wife had 3 kids, a 8 male, B 6 male, C 3 female. He said she wanted a dad for her kids and he wanted a mom for me. I remember telling him I didn't want a new mom. He said I would understand later. My step-siblings' dad basically stopped doing anything alone with me. No more camping nights in the backyard or movie nights, which we had done every week for years. Nothing. He spent time with all his new kids to bond. It's been 11 years and he still doesn't have time for me because he's bonding with them. He stopped coming to my games when I got to high school. His wife and I have nothing in common. I play 3 sports and I'm on the speech team. She's very girly and likes girl trips to buy clothes and makeup at different malls. She knows I don't want to go, but just tells my step-siblings' dad that she invited me. I have a teammate I play 2 sports with. Her parents have become like my own. She said she is totally fine with it. I've made sure all the time because I don't want to take someone else's parents, but she's always the one to invite me over, brings her parents to my swim meets beach. She knows no one will be there for me. Invited me to go shopping for Mother-Father Day gifts and said they were from both of us. Her parents get me holiday gifts and say I'm always welcome. Senior night at basketball, I told her my step-siblings' dad isn't going to walk me around the floor because he doesn't even come to games. She asked her dad to walk both of us and he was happy to. In a small town that made the paper BC, they thought it was sweet. My step-siblings' dad flipped out and took us all to therapy. He asked why he hadn't been asked. I said because he didn't come to games. He said he didn't know I played basketball anymore. I asked if that's why he didn't come to swim or softball when he couldn't miss A and B's practice or come to speech meetings when he went to C's dance recitals. He just stared at me and said he didn't know I still did those either. I asked why he talked for days about B's camping trip, but didn't ask about my senior trip to Mexico. He said he didn't know I went. I said he signed the form. He admitted he didn't read it. I asked if he remembered the last time I called him dad. He said he didn't know I stopped. I said May 13th, 2021. He said that was the day ABC started. I said, I know. You stopped being my dad when you started being theirs. I walked out of therapy. Edit, I have played all 3 since I was a toddler, so I'm not sure why he thought I stopped. He never asked why I came home a couple hours after practice or went out on weekends for game days. When I talked about games, he said I thought I was just playing with friends because all my friends play. Now, for the comments before reading the updates. Your dad basically abandoned you when he started bonding with your step-siblings. You found another family and another father figure, and this was basically rubbed in his face at family therapy, and there was the photo in the newspaper too. And now he is shocked and probably feels hurt. Well, boo-hoo for him. Well, now it has been spelled out to him, and he can either step up and pay a little attention or be left behind. You are an adult now. You can distance yourself as much as you want to. Not the asshole. I didn't know you still did that. Well, yes, that's kind of the problem. Not the asshole. She had to have been gone at least a week when she went to Mexico. Where did he think she was? Did he even notice she was gone? My husband can be kind of oblivious sometimes, but he would notice if we paid for one of our kids to go to Mexico when he got the credit card statement. Now, for the updates. Update 1. Update got deleted. Basically, I'm getting some info on my trust and belongings it paid for. My friend's dad tried to confront my step-siblings about why I can't go over anymore, but he just shut the door on him, and I check in daily with my friend or her parents via phone. My step-siblings are all mad at both their parents and are being very supportive. Comments OP replies. OOP explaining to her father how she feels about him and her friend's family. App, I'm more angry that I have to miss practices for therapy and that I'm no longer allowed over to my friend's house because they're a bad influence. I'm happy he found his new family and I found mine. I'd be content with going no contact with them to have my real family back. I miss them so much. When I told him I felt like I lost my family, he cried and said he understood, then got mad and yelled at me when I told him I meant the family I had for the last few years, not him. How does he not know she still does sports? I paid for the sports registration and equipment out of the trust my mom left me. I just had to go to the bank and write out a request, and the next day I'd pick up the money. He said if I wanted him there, I should have given a schedule. I told him that I don't understand why he would think I would just stop playing all the sports I had played since I was a toddler, and that he didn't get schedules from my step-sibling. He got them himself. Then he just got mad and walked out. How did her dad not know she went to Mexico? And how did OOP get a passport without a parent? I had to have the form signed at the beginning of the year for numbers planning for the teacher. I was 17. I got my passport after my birthday before the trip and paid for it out of my mom's trust fund. He knew I went on a trip but didn't know where to. OOP, I'll probably do an update soon, but basically I'm not allowed to go to my friend's house anymore because he says her parents are a bad influence. He says I never told him anything about what I did, so he shouldn't be expected to know. His wife says she just wanted a dad for her kids and it isn't her fault, which is true. My step-siblings have been nice and said they thought he knew about my games and would be totally okay with him skipping theirs to come to my remaining games. They have been more mad at him than anything else and told him if he can't go to mine, then he doesn't need to go to theirs. And he said they were being brats, but they don't care. Update 2. Update, because a lot of people were worried about me not being able to get my things from my bio father's house and going back to therapy. Turns out it's not even necessary. After my last post, my stepmother, SM, wanted us all to go to the lake house. That's her happy place, safe space, sanctuary, she says, and it's her answer to everything. I want the boys out. She sends my bio father and her sons to the lake house. Time with her daughter, lake house. Time alone. Lake house by herself. She does photography there, and she's right. It does look like a postcard. 2-story cabin style. They never took me for the girls' trips or boy trips, only when everyone went together. My step-siblings won't call bio father dad anymore. My SM said if he isn't their dad and she isn't my mom, why are they even married? Bio F asked if she wanted a divorce, and she said she didn't sign up for the drama. They argued when went to hang out by the lake. We've been getting along great now against the parents, which I didn't see coming. Anyway, we went back to therapy yesterday, and my steps are brought up, are they getting divorced? Bio F said not if they can work it out in therapy. Therapist asked if it could be amicable cause. It's obvious they're cold to each other. SM said her kids could see bio father, but she would just want her place. He said that wasn't possible because it's actually mine, because my mom had it before they were married, and it's part of the prenup. SM was livid and ugly, cried, mad all the way home, then asked about the house we live in. Boyfriend tried to get her out of the kitchen, but she screamed, and he admitted that my grandpa gave it to my mom as a wedding gift before they were married. Turns out he won't let me move out because the house is actually mine since I turned 18. She said split the savings because they had been living way below their means. He told her most of the savings certificates of deposits were accounts set up for me by mom's parents. She has been crying in her room and says I'm selfish for not letting her have the lake house my great GPA built and gave to my GPA who gave it to my mom. Comments OP replies, wild_black_hat. What in the world? So she never put a cent towards those and somehow never asked herself in all those years how the assets would be split in the event of a divorce. OP, I doubt she ever thought about divorce until last week. Everything kind of exploded. Since they don't have a prenup, she probably thought she got half of everything. Update 3. A lot of people have been asking how things are going. Way more than I expected, so here we go. I'm about to leave for college. Yay. As of right now, my bio father and his wife, for now, are still living in my house and paying rent. I got a lawyer and they suggested retroactive rent as well. This will only go back to my 18th birthday and I officially own the house. My lawyer got me in touch with a good account that he uses for cases like this, who went over everything that is in my trust and savings with the person at the bank who oversaw giving me my allowances from my trust. My bio father hadn't taken any money directly from my accounts because they were unavailable until I turned 18, except for the one I used for daily use. I always got receipts that came out, even so I'm not worried about those. I did learn more about the property I own. This actually came out before the lawyer and accountant Beeks. My stepmother wanted some other property that's mine. There is a beach house she wanted and a smaller house that gets rented out, and the money goes to one of my accounts. She was furious she didn't get either. She and my boyfriend bicker, and honestly, it's hilarious. Ask her, why didn't you ever tell me that none of the money was yours? Him, if money was so important to you, why didn't you ever get a job? He also, I may get their cars because my boyfriend had terrible credit and used my house to get the loan as collateral. Same with the boat. She's a lot madder than him. My step-siblings don't even speak to my bio father anymore because they feel like he made them the bad guys, and I told them he didn't and it wasn't their fault at all. Comments OP replies. Another Tifan? Are you able to see your bestie and her family again? OP. Yep, I visit with them a lot. There's really nothing he can do to stop me now. He can say that I can't take anything from the house, but since I'm a Icon isn't a problem anymore. Condition Big 6373. Maybe you should invite your friend and her family over for dinner. I would love to hear about your father's reaction to that. OP. I don't live in the house anymore, so I don't eat dinner there either. LLL. Story 2. Am I the asshole for flirting with 19-year-old girls and defending myself when being called a predator? Original post. I'm 31 and recently ended a long-term relationship. I was broken. I recently went to this cool restaurant bar downtown with one of my buddies to have a good time. Anyone of any age can come in. While we were there was a girl who was celebrating her 19th birthday. Their bass sang happy birthday, and they were allowed an outside cake with 19 on it. The birthday girl was pretty, so I wanted to go chat her up. Her friends were super cute too. My buddy told me to leave them alone and that they looked like babies. He didn't want to go over at first, but since the breakup, every other woman but my ex has been invisible. So he went to wingman with me. We walked over and wished her a happy birthday. I thought things were going well and the women were laughing. Then all of a sudden, one of the girls snaps at me to take a F hint R. Kelly. I was taken aback and just said, excuse me. She said to read the room and that they were uncomfortable. Another asked us to go away. I was going to go, but I was really bothered by the R. Kelly comment. I said, it's F up to call me a predator when we are all adults here. My buddy wanted to leave, but I stood my ground. The birthday woman said that it didn't matter. It's weird for someone my age to hit on them, especially when they make it obvious that they are uncomfortable. Then made another R. Kelly comment by asking if she looked like Aaliyah to me, which upset me again. I apologized for making them uncomfortable, but that didn't give them the right to call me a predator. One of the women said it was a personal problem. I said that adults are allowed to hit on the adults. It's not a crime. One woman just asked why I was still standing there and yelled at me to go away. I was pissed off, and when I left, their entire table was singing Remix to Ignition and laughing their asses off. I was furious and humiliated. When we sat back down, I was seething. My buddy said that it was my fault for not seeing the signs that they were uncomfortable. To him, it was obvious, so he wanted to go. He called me delusional. I pointed out that they were laughing, and he said it was just uncomfortable laughter. I told him that I had every right to be mad about being called a predator when they were all 18 to 19. It's a horrible accusation. T.O. make. My ex was 6 years older than me. He said that they weren't calling me a predator, just weird for going for teens. He said it was wrong of them to sing after me and that was bullying, but I should have left long before that. I felt like he should have stuck up for me. Was I wrong for sticking up for me or for hitting them in the first place? I was respectful and not creepy at all too. Edit 1. For the record, I do date women my age and older. This was the first time I approached much younger women. Eat it too. All right, guys, I get it. I let my pride get in the way of things here. Can't fix it. We'll do better next time. Comments OP replies before reading the updates. Wicked_Nix. You're the asshole for being creepy, not taking a hint and arguing about it to women who asked you to leave. You're upset about being called a predator, but don't seem to care that your inappropriate behavior made a group of women in public feel uncomfortable. Take a belly. Typical nice guy. Corn 20. The table singing remix to Ignition was also hilarious in how badly it pissed off the OP. Miss Brightside 13. He is extra. You're the asshole for standing his ground when they asked him to leave. What did he think would happen? They would admire his persistence and realize they were wrong all along, and he was actually a nice guy who they should all sleep with. Sorcha 16. Or they all look sheepish and he could leave like a boss having owned all those bitchy women. That was Yeezy. Then the entire restaurant would clap. Sorcha 16. And all the women would throw their knickers at the clear alpha male. Reptilian fool. You're the asshole. The fact that both the girls and your friend easily recognized that it was creepy to hit on her should tell you that it wasn't okay. Probably untrue. The rare moment that an Am I the Asshole post turns out to be the asshole, praise be, free the butthole. You're the asshole. You're 31 hitting on a 19-year-old, and you can't confirm how old the other girls were, probably around 17, 18, and 19. That's very creepy, and you made them uncomfortable, and then didn't take a hint, not mad, then they had to be mean to you for you to go away, and you still didn't go away. This is predatory behavior, and I'm not really sure what you thought was going to happen. Now, for the update, I have never had a Reddit account before, but my journalism TA showed us it, and sometimes I'll just check the front page for news. Earlier, I saw a post up there that basically described my birthday dinner like 3 weeks ago. At first, I didn't gaffe, but now I just felt the need to clarify a few things, even though I know most people called him an asshole. Some people got aggy about the R. Kelly comment and singing Ignition. Was it mean? Yes, but I'm done being nice to creeps. This was not ABA. It was a bar and grill, but it was mainly a restaurant that just happened to serve drinks. We were sitting near a family. So we weren't in a setting where people go to get hit on. We were minding our business and marketing in the corner booth. He came and wished me a happy birthday. I said thanks, and we all went back to our conversation. I did appreciate being told happy birthday, but he stuck around. We laughed uncomfortably and went back to our conversation. He stuck around and kept interrupting us. Each time he said something, we nodded and then turned our backs to him. We said thank you by a few times, but he was still standing there talking to us. His friend kept finding excuses to leave. I was annoyed, uncomfortable, and disgusted, but I gave him a respectful okay, have a good night. Here's some cake for home buy. But he grabbed the cake and sat down in our booth. He said the nights are not over yet. Then my friend just snapped, and if she didn't, I was going to. When she called him R. Kelly, she wasn't accusing him of being a pedo, but a creep. 30-year-old guys who hit on us creepy and disgust us, point blank, period. We were nice the entire time, and I even gave them a million hints and cake for the road. His friend was even finding reasons for them to leave. Then he had the audacity to stand there and fight us on it. I told him that he was way too old for us, and it was creepy from the start. When he left, we started singing Ignition among ourselves, not singing after him. It's a throwback that our parents put us on. Instead of crying over our night being ruined by a creep, we turned it into a fun moment with karaoke. P.S. When he asked us our age and gave us his, we became a million times more uncomfortable. Guy was 30 trying to get with 18-year-olds at a birthday dinner. We're used to old men bothering us, and it's always gross. To the if he wasn't ugly crowd, he was a decent-looking, fit guy. If I never met him, I'd set him up with my aunt. But H, was in his 30s and that I is way too old. This isn't porn, and I haven't met a single girl desperate for a 30-year divorced dick. Being called legal is demeaning. Everything about it was sickening. When we came over, announced his age, then asked us ours, I almost yacked it. It was like he was IDing us. ATA family restaurant. F out to here. I'm tired of having to be polite to guys who are creepy and disrespectful. Edit 1. 30-year-olds aren't gross by being 30. Everyone gets older. 30-year-olds who bother you to flirt during the birthday dinner are. Eat it 2. I really appreciate the support, but please don't spend your money on gold for me. That's not why I posted, but I do appreciate it. Story 3. Am I the asshole for not telling my husband to apologize when he was just defending me? Original post. This is my first time posting here, but I've commented a lot, so I'm using a new account to stay anonymous. I female am the youngest of 7 kids. The problem I have is with the eldest sibling, my sister Mary. Mary has always undermined and judged my choices growing up. For example, when I wanted to take a gap year after high school to save money for university, Mary told me a bad idea. and that once I took a gap year, I'd never go back just like her. I almost didn't go through with it because she made me second guess myself. Then, after the gap year, I changed my major after the first semester, and she yelled at me for hours about how I was going to ruin my life and waste all my money since I couldn't make up my mind. I have countless examples of times she made me cry from her yelling or made me question my decisions. And at the time, I felt compelled to listen to her. After meeting my husband, then boyfriend, and getting a therapist, they both helped me realize I needed to distance myself from Mary because she's extremely toxic and both emotionally and verbally abusive. It took a lot of effort, but I finally went no contact with her. I finished university, got a job in my chosen field, thanks to my brother-in-law, moved in with my husband, and eventually got married. For the first time in a long time, I felt truly happy. I still see Mary during family events and holidays. I hate seeing her, but it's my family too, and I don't want to miss out because of her. However, she always finds a way to ruin the holiday for me. She often takes digs at my husband, saying she doesn't like him and that I could do better. My husband usually tells me to ignore her because he thinks she's only doing it for a reaction. Last weekend, we had our Thanksgiving celebration at my mom's house. When we arrived, my husband asked my mom if we could host Christmas at our place since her house is getting too small to fit everyone. Before my mom could respond, Mary jumped in, saying we shouldn't offer a home we didn't buy, and then called my husband a fucking nepotism baby. That comment made me mad because she knows nothing about my husband's situation. My husband inherited our home from his grandfather after he passed away, so her saying that was incredibly insensitive. Both my mom and I told her off, and she quieted down for a bit. But during dinner, my brother asked me how work was going, and Mary chimed in again, claiming I probably don't work since my husband is rich. I corrected her, explaining that we're not rich and that I work as a preschool teacher, and she knows this. Standing up for myself seemed to completely set her off. She yelled at me, saying I was only working there because I couldn't handle the other program I was in, and that she knows I'm not happy with my temporary job and I should be pursuing a more serious career. Mary kept yelling, tearing into my life choices. I got anxious and nervous. As I always do when she yells, it brings back the trauma she caused me. I tried to defend myself, but started stuttering, which made her escalate. My mom and siblings tried to get her to stop, but she wouldn't. Then she said something that hurt the most. She called me a disappointment and claimed my mom felt the same way. At that point, my husband lost it. He started yelling at her, which is rare for him since he's usually very calm. He swore at her and called her some names, including a fat bitch and a cunt. He also called her evil and said no one in the family liked her. It turned into a screaming match. My mom tried to calm Mary down, and my husband, but neither of them would stop. My husband and I ended up leaving and going back to the Airbnb we're staying at. The next day, we went back to my mom's house. My husband apologized to my mom for yelling and ruining dinner, but said he wouldn't apologize to Mary. Since then, my mom has been calling me, asking me to get my husband to apologize to keep the peace. Mary still lives with her, and my mom is tired of her ranting about how rude my husband was and cursing him out. But I told my mom I'm not going to make him apologize. I know he was rude, and some of the things he said were harsh, but Mary was always rude, and no one is telling her to apologize to us. So would I be the asshole for not telling my husband to apologize just to keep the peace with my sister? I know that neither of us owe Mary anything, but apologizing would make things easier on my mom. Comments OP replies before reading the updates. Frozen broccoli. Not the asshole. And when should you expect your apology from Mary? I also don't understand why your mother isn't upset. Mary spoke on her behalf, letting you know she's disappointed in you. Does your mother not have a problem with this at all? Or is everyone in this family so scared of Mary that she's just allowed to say whatever she wants? OOP. Honestly, I really do think my family is scared of her. She definitely targets me the most, but she acts like this with everyone, even my mom sometimes. My mom is just getting too old to deal with her. But I did talk to my mom about the comment, and she said she didn't think that way. So I think it was Mary lying to try and hurt me. Sensitive Ask 9368. Absolutely do not apologize to her. She has to understand when you cross boundaries, especially when it comes to a man's wife, he gets to roar. She was pissed that someone finally stood up to her and yelled at her. Tell your mom to stay out of it, and absolutely do not invite Mary to Christmas. Your mom might try the old ploy if Mary is not coming, then she won't. Wish mom a Merry Christmas and let mom know we will miss you. Anytime Mary opens her pie hole to hurt you, husband should come out swinging. Mommy has coddled a tyrant and a loser. It's time, Mary, if she F around, she will find out every time. No more backing down for family peace. OOP. I was definitely never planning on inviting Mary to Christmas, but I will still invite you, Mom. You and a lot of others are saying the same thing, but I can't cut contact with my mom. She is the only parent I have, and although she has made mistakes, I can't abandon her. Forget me not snot. She isn't your mom, although I think she thinks she is because she is the oldest. She probably gave up a lot to help out, so resentment kicks in. She is jealous that you proved her wrong. Oh, so sorry, sis, you don't know at all. Not the asshole. OOP. That is exactly what my therapist told me. I obviously talked a lot about my sister with her, And she said exactly that. She told me my sister was parentified, and that took away her childhood, so she takes out harassment on me. I feel bad for that, but it wasn't my choice to have her take care of me, nor did I ask for the abuse. But I'm actually really glad that I proved her wrong. Now, for the update. I didn't expect my original post to get so many comments. First, I want to thank everyone who responded. Having a group of strangers get upset on my behalf was incredibly sweet and meant so much to me. Thank you all for your support. My husband also wanted me to pass along his thanks as well for standing up for me. I showed him this post and he feels vindicated. His words, not mine. He truly is such a wonderful man, and I'm very lucky to have him. I responded to some comments, but I wanted to make a larger post to address the things I saw mentioned the most. 1. I called my mom today and told her that my husband will definitely not be apologizing to Mary. He did apologize to the rest of the family for the scene, though. I feel bad for my mom, but making the original post gave me the courage I needed to tell her this. I don't like seeing her stressed, but I need to protect my husband just like he always protects me. My husband read a couple of comments suggesting he could apologize for the language he used. He offered to do that, but I told him it wasn't necessary since Mary would never return the apology for what she said. My mom said she understood and promised not to bring it up again. I also told her for her own sake to ignore Mary if she starts ranting about it again. 2. I saw a lot of comments about cutting off my mom or going low contact with her. Also a lot that were bashing her. I want to say up front that I'm not going to do that, nor do I appreciate those rude comments. I agree that my mom has enabled some of Mary's behavior, but she's not a bad mom. She has always tried to control Mary, but Mary doesn't listen to anyone. My mom raised 7 kids on her own. Our dad died when I was 2 and Mary was 14. It's impossible to pay attention to everything with so many kids, and I don't blame my mom for not being able to stop the abuse when it started. I didn't even know it was abuse when I was a kid. I thought that's just how older sisters are supposed to be. My mom worked a lot to support us when we were kids, and unfortunately for all of us, this meant that Mary was forced to take on a parental role. And since I was the youngest, it made her both become very attached and resentful towards me. Words from my therapist. My mom has made mistakes, but so has every parent, and I'm not going to hold a grudge against the only parent I know. However, I think having a serious conversation with her would be a good idea. I might even bring her to a therapy session so we can talk about everything Mary put me through. I haven't talked to her about it much, and what my mom knows is just the tip of the iceberg. She really does try her best to parent us. She always has, but Mary is too much for everyone. 1. Many people asked why Mary still lives at home. I mentioned this in a comment, but Mary has a chronic pain disease that forces her to take a lot of time off work. I also think it's another reason why she is so mean. I won't go into details, but she does have a job, but she can't afford to live on her own. None of my siblings are willing to take her in, and most of them are in low contact with her since she treats us all the same. My mom isn't the kind of person to turn her back on her kids, so she lets Mary stay. I also think she does this as a way of making it up to Mary for relying on her so much for childcare. 2. Some comments asked if Mary was abusing my mom. I want to clarify that this isn't the case. For everything Mary has done, she's never put her hands on anyone. While she does fight like this with my mom sometimes, she treats her much better than the rest of us. The worst thing she does is use my mom as her personal therapist. 3. Mary is absolutely not coming to Christmas. I was never planning to invite her, and my husband would never allow her within 20 feet of our home. She will throw a fit, but we don't care. I love the holidays, and for once, I'd like to spend them with people who actually care about me. I also think it's a good idea to take your advice to avoid family gatherings if Mary is present. That will be hard because I don't want to miss time with the rest of my family, but I'll just make plans with them individually. Once again, thank you to everyone who commented. You've given me a lot to think about, and I'm planning to share some of your comments with my therapist to work through them. Some of them hit me hard and I need time to unpack everything. This will be my last update and I'll be deleting this account sometime after posting this. Take care and I wish you all the best. From both me and my husband, we hope you have a wonderful holiday.